Ron Jess for Jessfor30, and I have the head football coach for Catholic Central High School with us today, Detroit Catholic Central Novi, Director of Football Operations, Legacy Center, Michigan, football player at Catholic Central, and a great player at Grand Valley State University, Justin Cessante.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Great honor to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
I'm
appreciate
excited.
it. Yeah.
You know, Justin, I was driving over here to Howell, we always do in Brighton, and I was just thinking this morning, I'm more excited and really more fired up to do this. No offense to the 30 before, but this means a lot.
I appreciate it. And it means a lot that it means a lot to you. Meeting you, several months ago, and your energy and, what you bring to relationships and how much you care about what you do and your passion, it shows through. And anybody that has that, I can rock with. So, yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you. That's a really nice compliment. I was just going to say, you and I were introduced by Anthony D'Arcangelo at Men's Game Day Health in Brighton, and certainly wanted to give a shout out to Anthony. We both are friends with him, and he's a great guy.
Yeah. Darco family. D'Arcangelo's coached three of the brothers, Austin, Isaac, and Anthony, and obviously Anthony is building a business there in Game Day out in Brighton, and partner a Legacy, and proud of him and what he's done in his football career, and now his entrepreneurial life.
He kind of had to do this. I talked to Anthony yesterday, and we were going to try to scoot him in for 10 minutes, and he's busy. He's really busy, but had to do it. Had to bring him up. Ferris State All-American. What do you know about him personally?
He was one of as an assistant coach at Catholic Central, when I was coaching him, he was one of the young men that when the recruiting trail was happening with college coaches, I was getting really frustrated of not understanding why more teams weren't offering him. I mean, he really could do it all. He did it all for us on some really good football teams at Catholic Central. Had that football speed, maybe not that camp speed that you would say, hey, let me clock this guy at a 4.4, or but when he got on the football field, he could just run and nobody was ever going to catch him. Was really impressed by what he did in college, and it didn't surprise me much, and really the sky's the limit. I think Isaac, his brother, is very similar in the same guy that I've probably harmed some relationships with some college coaches for beating on their door so hard, is saying, this kid Isaac can play, he's big, he's fast, he's physical, and obviously ends up at Illinois, and then a stint in the NFL and in the CFL. He's doing a phenomenal job. So they just got football in their blood, their DNA, and they were tremendous football players for us at Catholic Central.
Well, when I see Anthony a lot of times, it's a Friday. I always go in there. That's when you and I met, Justin. And he's always heading up to Toronto to watch Isaac as a Toronto Argonaut. Another linebacker like you, like Anthony. You guys like to hit.
No doubt about it. You got to get your aggression out. And then their sister's a phenomenal hockey player, and brother was a Marine. I mean, they're just an outstanding family that. High achievers, and love how they support each other. That's really what it's about. Faith and family first before any of this other stuff.
Well, we're into all those things, and I would say the next thing to ask would be, tell us about your mom and dad.
Yeah, my mother, grew up in Detroit, raised my brother and I pretty much by herself. Extremely tough Italian Polish woman. Very much instilled faith. My grandmother and her really were the people who raised me, and tremendous influence on my life. My grandmother, God rest her soul, just passed away this summer. I feel like she's watching in this journey right now that we're having at Catholic Central. Catholic Central meant a lot to her and what it did for me as a young man. Catholic Central football. My grandmother was just a enthusiastic football fan. I mean, and she knew football. I always used to joke with my uncles, G, we call her, she knows more about football than you and the X and O's, my mother is hardworking. At a time, worked 2 to 3 jobs, It wasn't easy for me to go to Catholic Central when it was in Redford. It wasn't easy for me to make it through there. So that struggle, that challenge, not only for my family but for myself, had a huge influence on my life. And that's why I always say being at Catholic Central is ministry for me and paying it forward. My father actually, he was around a little bit growing up, but not significantly to where, I had a father-son relationship. But about 12 years ago, we've really connected, and he's probably one of the closest people in my life now. So that's very rare, that I think you have a circumstance where you're not involved in each other's life and people hold on to things. I think it's hard to be a really good dad if you don't fill some of that hole in your soul with at least sand, which, so that you can be a good father and that you don't carry that scar tissue. But I've really filled it in with concrete with my dad and really made up a lot of lost time. And we really enjoy each other's company. And he's a big influence on my life now. So.
What does he do?
He's an entrepreneur. He's in business. He owns several different businesses, and I'd like to say he's on the back end of his career, but he's not. He loves he loves the everyday grind. He loves the hunt. He loves to be in it. He loves people, and he loves impacting businesses. So he has businesses from everything from automotive to medical to technology. He's done well for himself. Yeah, real proud of him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
At 44 years old, I opened Jess Instrument Company. And it was kind of a dream, go from inside, outside sales. Lived in Ohio for 7 years, Medina, beautiful town. One of our daughters was born there, our third child, Laura. And so I got back here and worked as a national sales manager for Treras on 8 Mile. We provided all the pressure gauges, thermometers to Little Caesars Arena. But it's the dreams. I was 44, and I said, it's America. Start your own company. Do what you do best. Talk to people. I get paid to talk. Not here. I haven't made a penny. That's okay because it's for veterans, charities, and foundations. I don't care. I don't care if I ever make a penny here.
Yeah.
It's meeting guys like you, Justin.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I always say the definition of success is the positive impact you have on others. I mean, obviously, you have to support your family. You have to put food on the table, and you want to create, some type of generational wealth for your grandkids. And congratulations again on the 6th. Yeah.
Jacob.
Yeah, but if you don't have passion and purpose behind what you're doing, it's really, in my opinion, hard to live in the assignment of God. And what He puts you. I believe everybody has talent. Not everybody has the same talent, and that's okay. Everybody has some type of talent that God puts you on this earth to use. A big part of life is finding that, and I think obviously something that you do, you found your passion and how you want to impact, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that happened at 66 with Jeff Minnock, a Howell varsity football coach in Brighton. He owned Timeout Bar and Grill. And yeah, at 66 it was again. 44 did that, and 66. I read a book that said when you get old, and I saw it at Chrysler out in the Proving Ground in Chelsea. I saw a guy died about my age, 66, and he had all these plans to fish and hunt and this, and he was dead the next day.
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa. The book said, find something you love to do, you know what you like to do, and find it and chase it. So when I sat there in front of Brighton High School football stadium with Jeff Minnock, it was like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm doing this, but have some guts.
Yeah.
No fear.
No fear. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to find, that intuition is God talking to you a lot of the times. And society is what wants you to fear your ambitions and wants to, almost paralyze you so you don't move on things. So hats off to you for moving. And I try to live my life about that every day. If there's something that's in my heart that I want to do for our boys at Catholic Central or for Legacy or for the Lead Foundation or just in my life for my family, I try to follow that intuition if it's good and aggressively, relentless pursuit in following it.
Well, when we had lunch at Lakeland here with Anthony a couple weeks ago, You said, you made a comment, it stuck. I didn't get the book yet, but you said there was a book, I believe, that says things come to you in the middle of the night. And I find myself waking up sometimes at 4, and I'll go down with my phone and record it in the garage in the dark. I'll record things that come at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's exactly it, but they call it the angel time. It's a time of spirituality, a time of where your body's in a certain moment or energy, 4 to like 4:30 in the morning. And they said that like if you're waking up, listen to God. Use that time to pray. Use that time to even wake up, or use that time to wake up and have some meditation, go back to bed. But it's not for me, it's spiritual. And for me, like you can feel spiritual energy. You can feel when God is talking to you, and when also you need to talk to God, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's important. God's where it all is, and everything's about that. As a kid, you attended Bryant Middle School in Dearborn, and Dearborn, I call on the Dyno Lab there on Village Drive, and the money they've spent billions on this electric car stuff, which is 87% of America doesn't want them. They're going to jam it down our throats, and we're saying, no, thank you.
Yeah.
We're not interested.
Yeah.
If you make a battery car and still have that one that's a crossover, people are more likely, and I've had rental cars like that. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't want an electric car. I probably won't ever drive an electric car. You don't even have places to fill them up, Jason.
Yeah. It's a different time, and growing up in Dearborn, obviously, I grew up Dearborn Heights and then Detroit because I had a lot of family still living in Detroit. Spent a lot of time in the Southwest. Had a lot of Polish family over there. And I was kind of in a weird pocket in the city where in Dearborn Heights, border Detroit and Redford, they didn't really know where to send us. So they ended up sending us to Dearborn schools, which was a blessing. I still have friends from kindergarten, which, I have over 2 handful of friends that come to football games. We support each other. We make sure we see each other's family. But a big piece of Dearborn, and, we always were going to Greenfield Village, very much knew Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, always obviously being educated on the history of Dearborn. So, it's pretty crazy to think that, it was the center of the industrial movement for automotive, and, how much we've let the city fall off, and then how we've came back. Mayor Duggan is a CC grad, so he's done a really good job. But a lot of the businessmen and people that have been in Detroit for a long time that really stuck with it during the tough times. So you hope that they continue to find their way in business and do the right things as there's an influx of money or influx of economic boost, that they can continue to navigate their way so that we don't ever fall back into that. And really, in my opinion, Detroit should be and is the greatest city in the world, but it should be as when you walk into it in the neighborhoods and the education and the resource for not just the downtown, but the city and the people who live there and grew up there and have families that were raised there. That's what to me is a great city. Like, can that economy really fulfill everything from the downtown to the edges of the city, and then spill over to the rest of the state where people are really proud, And so I hope that whatever decisions are being made, they're understanding and doing their due diligence on what the future of business is, and also understanding where we're from and what Detroit stands for.
Well, no question. You look at San Francisco. We've been there, my wife and I, as a national sales manager. I'd go in and work like Monday to Thursday, and then do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and with her in New Orleans, San Francisco, Minnesota, Chicago. And I'd rather go to Detroit. You brought up Greenfield Village. We drove down there last week. We were going to go to the Village. It's closed for October. So we're always plan B. Okay, Belle Isle, Dawson Great Lakes Museum, the new aquarium. But Fox Theater, Fisher Theater, all those places, Sicily's Pizza down in Mexican Village, they have a sourdough bread pizza. You had it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I've been down there, yeah. Spent a lot of time in Mexican Village, and Yeah, one of my good buddies got married at St. Anne's Church, and like I said, I spent most of my holidays down there with my Polish family side. So, yeah.
So Hamtramck's
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. Definitely Southwest Detroit. Yeah, a lot of history there and rich in tradition. And that area is changing from Corktown to Mexican Town to down on that side of Dearborn, really the downtown Dearborn area. Really rich in diversity and culture. I think that's something if somebody doesn't know, if they're not from that area. I grew up with a lot of different religions, a lot of different diversity of ethnic background. And it's when you grow up, especially in sports, that's the thing that's always bridged those things that really make the rest of the world different, right? There's all these differences and craziness going on in the world. But I really appreciate where I grew up. Like, Detroit is known as a pretty segregated city. I grew up in a really integrated part of it, where Redford, Detroit, Dearborn Heights all met. And I'm really blessed for that. I think it gives me a different ability to connect with people from different backgrounds, sit in different rooms and be able to adapt. But I also have an appreciation for where people come from. Yeah.
Well, you went to Bryant Middle School in Dearborn. You got friends from there still?
Some of my best friends. Yeah.
What'd you do as a kid down there? You play baseball, football?
I did it all. And I'll tell you, that 8th grade class that we had, I think we went undefeated in every sport for 2 years. That class we had was really special. Me leaving was not the most popular choice going to Catholic Central because that class was so talented. But yeah, football, wrestling, baseball, basketball. I even swam for like 2 days, which I still say is one of the hardest sports. And forgot that I didn't grow up around a swimming pool, so I got out of there quick and went back to wrestling, which I said was a much easier feat. But
easier wrestling.
Oh man!
For Coach Rod, did you wrestle?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, swimming in the pool when you're not a good swimmer is a struggle, and it's scary. So I was like, I'm gonna get back on land and do what I do. But track, yeah, we did it all, and I mean multiple leagues at the we run track and play baseball and 2 baseball leagues at the same time. I always say we were the last really great generation that played outside, got great leadership skills and dealing with adversity. We were out all the time playing and walking and running and doing what we do, making up games and all those different things. So.
Well, we had a pool everywhere we were our whole lives, and we rented a home in North Olmsted. We were there 6 years in Ohio, and we put a little 3-foot pool. My wife would joke, I'd get to Sunday playing dealer, Cleveland playing dealer, and I would put this chair in there, like a chair, this little plastic chair. I'd sit in there and read the newspaper.
Like Nationals Lampoon a little bit. Yeah.
Well, it was a hillbilly town there, I mean, Ohio, who cares? They took my Michigan flag, and I found it in my garbage upside down. And it's like, okay,
that's
I'd
expected,
take it out. And then I'd take my kids, and the 3 kids, we'd walk around the neighborhood all around with the flag.
Parade it, right?
We'd parade it then. They asked for it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I always said Ohio thinks they invented football, and Indiana thinks they invented basketball, so I'd always have good arguments with teammates from those states. Yeah.
I'll bet you did. Well, when we went to Medina, we put another above-ground pool in, and we had clay. It was clay, Justin. So I would get this 5-horse machine to, those ones that dig up, Well, I was doing this, and what happened was the clay was so hard, it was like cement. I was getting chips like 1/8 of an inch, and I'm vibrating. But we did put a 24. We were only there a year and a half.
Yeah.
Came back to Brighton, put a built-in pool in here, and let someone else do it.
Yeah.
But swimming, my dad had them. In Redford at Grand River and Beach on Glenmore.
Yeah.
8 kids, a field next to our house. We were like in heaven. We ate bologna and skim milk or powdered milk.
Yeah.
And we were blue collar, but we didn't care about money. But we were just riding bikes.
Yeah.
Fighting.
Oh, we didn't know.
Fist fights whenever. That was a sport. That was a sport too.
Oh, it was a sport. It was a sport in my neighborhood as well. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, we grew up fighting a lot. My mother never worried about drugs with me or drinking. She said just make sure you're not fighting, which I didn't always make her happy. But it's kind of part of growing up.
Justin, go ahead. Tell me the motto for Catholic Central, or the Brazilian priest motto, and what all. I mean, Jeff Wiska knows what that means. That dude, that guy lives that.
Yeah, the Brazilian priesthood and teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge. You know, I can't explain Catholic Central. Obviously, it influenced me as a young man. I always tell all the incoming freshmen and people who will listen, Catholic Central was not easy for me. It wasn't easy for my family to send me there. It wasn't easy for me academically, even though I did well in junior high. It wasn't easy for me athletically. And it really was the first time that I was at a crossroads that I had to decide if I was going to push through. What made me push through was exactly that model, like teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge, but if you feel the spirituality, you feel why it's special at Catholic Central. We have 60 alumni right now that are working as coaches or in the building and leadership or teaching. People have left like big money jobs to come back and as we call it, as ministry. We believe with more Shamrocks in the world, there'll be a better world. And that, you know, with the leadership, the brotherhood, the everyday lessons that we're able to teach these young men through sport, academics, being around each other, kairos, retreats, all these different things. It's so much bigger than sport. I think, look, do we want to hoist a trophy this year? Of course we do. You know, we want to bear fruit, but I already feel with this football team, like we already won our championship. You know, every day I get to have these conversations nobody will ever see, get to shed tears with not anybody will see. Have some intense conversations with parents and players that nobody will ever see that are making not only them better, but all of us. And you know, that's, I think, where you get concerned as having children, right, is we've lost that in society. We've lost accountability. We've lost fighting through failure. We've lost our goodness, our values, our morals, and doing things. And I'm far from perfect, and I'm not claiming to be a saint. I don't think anybody at Catholic Central is, but we're striving in the excellence of Jesus Christ. And, that means something.
Well, this is a flag here. My dad's, hit by a kamikaze in World War II. And, 20 years old picking up body parts. And the father-in-law was a colonel in the Army. And you know what one of his greatest sayings was? He said, God made one perfect man. Look what they did to him.
No doubt about it, yeah. And God bless them for serving our country and everyone who serves our country today. It's a tough world to live in, and they do their job to protect us and allow us to have the freedoms to do what we're doing right now, and it's important.
Yeah, and we can have fun doing it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's a blessing every day.
We'll be married 45 years, May 24th.
Oh, God bless you.
We went to high school with Michelle. You see, everybody says, oh, yeah, we meet Ron and Michelle, and we all like her. We don't like him. I go, whatever. I don't like you either.
We're all supposed to outkick our coverage. My wife has been married to me 12 years. She probably feels like it's 30, but she's a beautiful woman. I couldn't do what I do without her and being a backbone. Yeah, you need a strong woman. You know?
Oh, you do. Yeah. We're really into the history of. We've had our kids back to Ireland, where my grandpa was Harry Madden, drank himself to death.
Yeah.
He was about our age, or well, I'm older, but your team's 9-0.
Yeah.
What's the secret of your success? What's the reason for your team's success, Justin?
Hard work and time, which leads to a bond. Our theme this year is relentless pursuit. We wanted to have a relentless pursuit to be the best version of ourselves on and off the football field. So not just on it, but coming into this program, I knew the different amount of time we had to spend as a group. And you're not always going to like each other, but you got to love each other. And you're not always going to gel and bond. Just because you spend time with somebody, that doesn't mean you're going to get the result you want. Thank God for these kids and their experience, and thank God for our football team and our school, because it's community driven. They've bonded, and they play for each other. They have what we call an X factor at Catholic Central, a different measurable that you can't put stats on, and height and weight. And it's heart, it's attitude, it's effort, and they care for each other, and that means something. Yeah, that means something.
Well, I'm going to read this because it's important. And, Jess and I've done about 30 of these shows. And like I said, I really was so excited. I was up till 2:30 in the morning. We're doing this for 3 weeks preparing. And,
I'm flattered. Yeah, thank you.
Well, Justin, we've done about 30. And I'll bet there's one Brighton legend we have had the absolute honor to discuss regularly on our show.
Yeah.
kind of almost brings a tear to my eye. The fact his dad, we had him here on a show with Grand Valley legend and star receiver Jeff Chadwick from the Lions. C-Time, C-Fin, Superman.
Superman. Yeah, I also have a hard time still to this day talking about Cullen. Yeah, he was a brother. I played football with his older brother, Tim Finnerty, and track at Catholic Central. At that time, we weren't throwing the ball much, so it wouldn't make sense for an athlete and quarterback like Cullen to come to CC. And then he had an obviously phenomenal career at Brighton and went to Toledo and then transferred while I was at Grand Valley. And when he came up with Brandon Langston from Northville, it was just family right away. Like we already had known each other. Obviously, his brother and I won a state championship together, and I was older. I always say like an older brother, but Cullen was, he was Superman, so he didn't need an older brother. But him and I bonded very quickly. Just hung out all the time or around each other all the time, and just really formed a brotherhood that I'll remember the rest of my life. He'll always live in my heart, in my memory, and everything that I do. When things get hard, I always think about how Cullen would approach it, because he was just a dog. He was going to run through it, run through a wall, run through anything in front of him, and he was going to sell out, and he was a very loyal person, which is hard to find. He was one of a kind. So, when he went to the NFL, he left the Ravens and he got picked up by the Denver Broncos. And at that time, I was working the corporate world coaching, and I was doing a lot of training. I was still involved heavily in that world of speed training and strength. So I was working with Cullen twice a day, pull workouts. I mean, he wanted to punch me in the face sometimes, but he loved it, right? He loved work. And he got a call from Shanahan or his agent saying Shanahan wants to sign you. I believe Shanahan was there at the time. And so we were walking in for a late night workout at like 10 o'clock. He's like, I got to go. I'm jumping on a plane for a physical. So the day goes by, and then he comes back like a day and a half and shows up at my house at like 5:30 in the morning.
In his Jeep.
Yeah, the thing's packed to the rim, coming out the windows, and he's like, he's not knocking on my door. He probably called me. I'm getting ready for work, and he says, I need you to drive to Denver with me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, I gotta go to work. Like, Denver for what? I didn't even comprehend it. He's like, I just signed with the Broncos. Get you in the car.
Yeah.
You're coming to Denver with me. I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah, so Cullen Finnerty stepped in and turned our camera off here to say hello. Love you, rest in heaven, Cullen, and God bless you. Telling a great story. He probably said, stop telling the story, Justin. You're going to get yourself in trouble. No, but so yeah, he's will always have a big influence on my life. One of my favorite pictures I have in my possession is Cullen and myself at my wedding, and us just embracing each other. And we had a lot of good memories, a lot of good moments. I will always carry everything I do with him in my heart, and his tenacity. He was just a tenacious individual. Anybody, I always talk to the kids, you want guys around you that you'll go into a dark alley against 30 other guys, and they aren't going to leave your side. That was Cullen Finnerty, So
Yeah, he was special. I mean, his whole family, and his dad had that. He's a legend out here in Brighton, Tim Senior, because Brighton youth football is really cracking along now. My grandson plays there, and they've got really good people there, really great coaches and things. And but Tim, when he was here, I mean, it was unreal. It was a machine.
Yeah,
and he
dominating.
had Divine Child guys.
Yeah.
Jack Cogley, Tim Lee, who you and I just talked about. Tim Lee, shout out to Tim, great guy.
Yeah, great man.
Hall of Fame at Divine Child, among very few. We went to his induction, and a week or two later, we were at Cullen Finnerty's. Tim had invited my wife and I, and we sat with Tim Lee as Cullen, and Tim Jr. Did this talk for him, and T.J. Duckett, B.J. Armstrong.
That was,
were you there?
I was there. Yeah, that was the Michigan Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Yeah.
At Greektown.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I was there. Yeah.
The soundboard room, I think.
Yeah, it was a great event. Yeah.
It was really cool. Well deserved. Cullen won. We didn't mention. 4 national championships you said. And
most winningest college football player, regardless of division. I think it was like 50. 2-3 or 52-1 or something. It just but the way he played the game, the way he lived life, but the way he played the game was, you want to put on a video to a young man playing football and say, play the game like this, it'd be Cullen Finnerty.
When wife and I were in Fort Myers Beach, we were at a condo, and I'm riding down on my bike, rent a bike every time, wherever we go, and we ride it, and it's fun. Just, it's like meditation. And drive by this guy, and I noticed a Grand Valley State University T-shirt. He's jogging. So I turned my bike around. I went back. I said, "Hey, what do you do with Grand Valley? What's that shirt for?" He says, I was the athletic director.
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Oh, you were?" I go, Cullen Finnerty? Yeah. He go, what? I mean, no kidding.
Yeah.
You know what he said to me? He looks, he goes, "Ron, Cullen Finnerty put them on the map. We could never get any football players." He said once he was there, we had all state quarterbacks from Illinois and Minnesota calling us can we come to Grand Valley? I'm not saying he kind of made Grand Valley.
Yeah. Kurt Ains and that group of
Chadwick.
Even the guys when I first got there was a year before we really took off, and obviously the staff was phenomenal. You guys got like Coach Kelly, Jeff Quinn, Chuck Martin. I mean, those guys were just like, look what they're doing in their career now. But that group that we actually didn't make the playoffs with and then went to the national championship and lost really set a precedent. And that's what started making – we had a lot of talent, but then guys like Kurt Ains and Cullen Finnerty were the glue you needed, the heart that made the team beat, the leadership that you needed that had that tenacity and had that this is the way things are going to be and this is how hard we're going to play for each other and there's only one standard and that's the standard. And that's what took Grand Valley to where it was. We always call it the golden years, and hope they can get back to that. Yeah.
Well, another subject, we just bounce around here,
okay.
which is, it's more fun to do that.
Of course,
it's like guests. We have authors, we have musicians, and Michaela Prue we had, and a really cute little 21-year-old musician who's trying to make it, and it's her passion. Yeah. And she was awesome on here, and Melfar Jr., and Mama Shoe, Darren McCarty, Lance Parrish. Just
awesome roster.
Really great roster. Seabrook Satterland.
Yeah.
He owns Whiskey Kitchen on Main Street. Yeah. Seabrook Satterland, he was a semi-pro high. He skates in those Red Wing deals.
Yeah.
But he grew up in a geodesic dome up in the UP. His parents were hippies, and his uncle owned Satterland Supply, who I call on. They're in our business. Yeah. And we got to be friends when I worked with him. He was outside sales. So he ran with the Bulls in Pompeii, Spain, 17 times.
Wow.
He bought a 42-foot old yacht and lived across on the Detroit River for a year. Yeah. What else? I mean, this guy, he just pushes the limits. And a little shout out to him. He called me. He was at Mayo Clinic. He's got cancer.
Oh, God bless him. Yeah.
But he's doing better. I took him some cookies a couple weeks ago. Just dropped him. He wasn't there, but for his company. But he's Seabrook Satterland's a trip, man. Yeah. This dude's he's flying. Got twins and just one or the other. Everybody's been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It must be luck. I don't know. Irish luck.
Well, yeah. I'm sure the host doesn't, has something to do with that as well. So. Guide him to the light. Yeah, guide him to the light. Yeah.
That's why I called Melfar Jr. 3 times. It's do not quit. You got that guy at CC with the 52 Jimmy Johns. And, all that stuff he's got going on. I've been pushing for him for a year.
We'll get him on here. That's my brother Anthony told me. That's one thing about those guys, especially my class. I'm just so proud of the success that these guys have had. More importantly, all good family men. Their kids are, I'm coaching some of their kids now, but Anthony and I in the same boat, have some young ones around the same age. But yeah, he's just done a phenomenal job. He playing in the minor leagues for the Tigers, and then starting the first Jimmy Johns, and now has over 60, and born in Detroit, and 8 Mile Vodka and all these different brands. Now he's part of the Big Three and the bowl, the football college bowl that's at Ford Field. I mean, he always has his hands in something, and just very ambitious. And I again, that's kind of the Catholic Central thing that drives you. Like we say, like, human nature is to survive. To be a shamrock is to strive. We always talk about that. And talking even about the gentleman you just talked about, how interesting he's lived his life running, with the Bulls and doing all that. We just had our alumni who's been overly generous to us, and a man of faith, George Turk, and he's got one of those interesting stories. His dad was a janitor, grew up in Brightmoor near the area I grew up.
5 and B, Telegraph.
Yeah, and he got kicked out of CC, had to beg his way back in. When he did, his dad's like, "I'm not paying for you, nor am I taking you." So he had to work and get himself to school. Became a Navy pilot, which now hangs up the type of plane that he flew hangs up in the STEM building. When he got done, he basically he had a lot of friends that couldn't get insurance or couldn't get medical coverage, and that's why he started his veterans insurance company. And again, we talked about it earlier, like these paths that you follow that aren't just about money or just not about what people think and society defines as success. It's about following God's way and helping people. Like there has to be that involved to really fulfill your meaning in this life, and I truly believe that. And I have that opportunity every day just to sit here and have a great conversation with good people, and I'm sure a lot of great people listening, and the roster you just talked about that you have in here, and we're going to continue to help your mission and bring great people here, and people I've been blessed with to have a network and relationship with because of my career.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Love of your life.
Yeah.
2 little girls.
3 now.
Oh,
yeah, I got a newborn. Yeah.
There wasn't one on the field with you. I saw that picture
she
at
was
Ford
sleeping.
Field.
Yeah, she was sleeping. Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 5 months. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they're Turkish, Sicilian, and Polish. You want to talk about some dangerous women when they grow up?
Oh my God!
They probably have a little bit of an edge to them. Yeah, I'm not gonna have to worry. I'm gonna worry about you always say you worry about the boys, but I'm gonna worry about them for a different reason because they better be careful there. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jeremy just had a little boy, and he's got Irish, Italian, Scot.
Yeah.
And Armenian.
Oh, yeah.
Really strong Armenian.
Yeah.
The father-in-law, we were in the what hospital? Beaumont.
Yeah.
2 days ago. So we've been getting up. That was another 2, 3 in the morning. Hey, the baby's born, and
that's awesome.
I pronounced his name wrong earlier. My son's gonna kill me. I can't even remember. That's what happens when you get old.
It's all right. I've had a lot of concussions, so I know
it's
the
embarrassing.
feeling.
Yeah, well, I had my share.
Yeah. I've been in the head enough.
Justin, our helmets had the little straps on them.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, you had a leather helmet."
Yeah. My dad just bought me one from like the 30s. It's prime condition. He got me one of those old leather helmets that just got the plastic. It's awesome. I put it on a couple of times. I have a couple of flashbacks.
So tell me about Christina.
Yeah, Christina is was born in actually Saudi Arabia, raised in Turkey, moved over here young. Both of her parents, God bless them, passed away in the last 6 years. Her dad was a doctor. Her mom, one of the my grandmother and her mom. I don't care where you go. I don't know if you're going to find 2 better cooks and people that are just traditional and about family. And Christina, she's a interior designer. But we have the fortune of her being home and really being an influence on our kids, and a woman of faith, a woman that really supports me in my endeavors and sacrifices a lot to do that. And, that means something. Yeah, you can't, there's been plenty of quotes about it, but you can't, there's no good men without great women behind them. And she's very much that, just a phenomenal mother. I always say a throwback because, no offense to women my age and younger, but you don't find a lot that really have like that charisma and charm like she carries. She's not like a high maintenance person. She gets along with everybody, as you said. Everybody likes her way more than they like me, which I don't blame them. She's better to look at too, but she also just takes a lot of pride in anything she does. It's passion and love in her cooking, and the way that she raises her family, the way that she engages her friends, and that makes me a better man, and you need that. You need that, so.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You talk that old school. Michelle's Italian, and her parents are, mom came from Youngstown, Steel Country, Di Genova. The dad was a colonel, so really strong. I worked at his gun shop on Fankel. We nickel-plated handguns for Detroit cops.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about that. Yeah,
gold-plated.
Yeah, it was a good story. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great way from 17, a high school kid, into OCC. I didn't go far in college. I didn't like school.
Yeah.
You know, flunked out of Catholic Central in 9th grade. We talked about.
Yeah,
And,
I was almost in the same boat.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
And Anthony D'Arcangelo said in the interview we did with Anthony that he wanted to because his buddies were in Brighton.
Yeah.
But I ripped my knee up against Brother Rice playing cornerback. And
those guys.
right on 6565 West Side Drive.
Yeah.
And ripped it up and was taking a bus and transfers with crutches and books on the back. I really went home and, said, you were down point.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's cool to be able to come and do things with all the CC guys.
Yeah.
We've had 5 or 6 on the show and more coming. And
Well, think about the sacrifice, right? That it takes, even especially nowadays, right? Even back then, but the families have to sacrifice financially. The young men are sacrificing socially. You're in an environment that it's not cool not to do good in academics. It's not cool to not want to work hard. It's actually the exact opposite. If you're not, you're going to get weeded out. Mm-hmm. I almost weeded myself out several times.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, that summer going in was the hardest summer. I had to take 2 summer school classes. I had a job in the bookstore. I was at camp every week in between that. All my friends were having the best summer going into high school, hanging out with girls, going swimming, doing all these things. I had to hear about it. We didn't have social media. And I was completely isolated right away when I made the decision to go there. And I was a fish out of water. There was people from all over different places where I didn't grow up. They talked to each other a certain way. They acted a certain way. It was a really hard adapting. And I wanted to run from it. I wanted to quit. I couldn't cut it in certain facets. And that is really strong because now I can stand up in front of people and say, yeah, Catholic Central isn't for everybody. And this isn't just about Catholic Central. This is in life, period. Like whatever adversity you're facing or challenges you're facing or something that is hard, it's not worth having if it's not. But when you can stand up there and say, I'm not talking at you, I'm talking with you. Actually, I probably have struggled way more than anybody that's going to listen to me right now. I walked away. I walked out of Catholic Central one day as a sophomore, said I'm never coming back. I was literally on the phone with another school trying to transfer in tears. And the men, the people at Catholic Central are the ones that saved me, the ones that believed in me, the ones that showed me some guidance, a male influence as a single mother household. Like, I will never be able to repay the priests, the coaches, the teachers, Tim Henry, who was at Catholic, all these people who influenced and impacted my life. And that just in general is a message to anybody. Like, as you're going through that, water that adversity. I got a chance to spend time with Nick Saban last year and really spend some quality time with him one-on-one and in a small group. And he told me, I preach to my players all the time, water adversity. If you're looking at adversity and challenges as something negative all the time, that's exactly what you're going to get from it. If you see an adversity, and it's harder when it's tragedy or death, but when you see an adversity in life or in academics or athletics or your career, and you can water that and you approach it that way, that this is going to open up another blessing, this is here for a reason so I can grow, everything changes for you.
Well, when I was there, I got to tell you this, Justin, and we covered it with Anthony at lunch, was we grew up with a tough guy, 20 years old, picking up his buddy's body parts. And so what happened was I get to CC, my identity was pitching, quarterback, cornerback, football and baseball more than anything. And CC didn't recruit, but they had people at our games in 7th and 8th grade. They, there was an invitation. Let's put it that way. So to go into Latin classes and algebra classes, we had to read 3 books, and I was going to summer school like you did at Redford Union High School. Oh, by the way, we had to read Huck Finn, and what were the 3 books they made you read?
Everything
of Mice and Men.
Yeah, Great Gatsby.
There were like 3. So what happened?
Native Son.
we had to read the 3 books, paperbacks, before we got in, and they put all the freshmen in the lunch or the.
We still have it, summer reading test.
Well, guess what? I was going to that. I was playing baseball, and I didn't care about the 3 books. I got in there, and I didn't know that there was a test. The first day, they put all the freshmen in the gym and sat you up, and they tested you on those 3 books.
Yeah.
Hadn't read any of them. Didn't even look at the covers.
Yeah.
So you talk about sweating. So that was and
you're flunking right off the rip because if you don't do well on that test, your grade in English is pretty much a wrap.
You can't hide if you know nothing.
Yeah.
And then getting whipped with a rubber hose by your Spanish teacher. I said, I shouldn't say this, but as a kid, I just felt like I would have been better off if I just punched him in the face. I think it would have resolved things rather than quitting.
Yeah, I was in a different era, so they'd give you a little slap upside the head. But nowadays you can't breathe on a kid.
You can't touch their shoulder.
Yeah, it's something just to go back to something like I think like where Catholic Central's transitioned and how students come in, like at the end of the day, we get that a lot. Like, all these Catholic schools recruit. I think there's some public schools out there that recruit more than anybody. I also am not. I want volunteers, not hostages. And our whole school is like that. Like our admissions is very conservative. We have a presence and brand we want to build. Catholic Central is not for everybody. Now it is for everybody and every type of person and religion and background and economic, but it's not what the regiment you're going to be put through and what you're going to do there is not for everybody. And so when people say, their football team's out recruiting, you will never see me out at unless it's at Catholic Central, out at a football game. I'm not reaching out to parents. I'm not using legacy. That I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. That's not part of the ministry. Now, if you build something, they will come. The Catholic Central has beautiful facilities, have great people in there. We're winning, so people like that, and they're gonna naturally draw. But we're never gonna go out and he's going to Brighton. I'm gonna go get him, and I'm gonna go give him something. I'm not saying people don't do that. I can't speak for everybody else. I just can speak for us, and we're gonna sleep well at night.
Well, I'll tell you, I've listened to this. It's kind of cool to be able to say this because I'm old.
Yeah.
But I've listened to you, Brighton, Heartland, how coaches whine about that forever. Yeah. Even Novi, where your football, your quarterback coach, Lusky.
Yeah.
I love Tab Calipari. He coached Novi, but is he pissed? Lusky grew up a block from Novi, and he legitimately he's
special athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, and he played linebacker at Eastern and
baseball,
good
football,
guy.
Oh, great.
I don't know him.
Oh, Dave Lusky is the salt of the earth, man. I call him we always called him the golden boy, man. I think like anything he's touched, it's always been successful. It always worked. One of the hardest working people that I know. Even when we were young, he could stay up till 1 a.m. Like he'd stay at my house because I lived closer to Breakfast Drive than he did in Novi, which I didn't even know where it was in Novi at that time. It was before the internet, and he'd wake up before and be studying. And it was like that all the time. He always had energy. He was always working. He always did well in school. Just a great human being. To have him as our offensive coordinator, to have him back as being such a successful businessman, and they repair and restore pipelines for cities and counties. But for have him back in the fold, and for him to find his ministry and come back around Catholic Central, especially stay in it because I'm now the head football coach. That shows our brotherhood and bond, and to do that with somebody that you love so much and trust so much has been awesome. But phenomenal person. You can't find a better person. Him and Cody Patton, Mike Mack all work on that offense. Our offensive line coach is Ryan Bell and Terry Sawchuck, who his dad is the famous Sawchuck with the Red Wings.
Goalie.
We have a picture up in our locker room
with of
his face. Yeah, and I put real toughness, like that is the definition if you have it in the dictionary. So, yeah, great men, but, yeah, Dave Lusky is salt of the earth guy. Yeah, bringing up his name. He's my brother. Yeah.
And your mentor is Coach Tom Mack.
Yeah, Tom. Man, yeah. Tom Mack is a special man to me. I always like to consider him, even if he doesn't consider me his third son. He has twins, obviously, that are both on staff. Joe Mack is our defensive coordinator. I think best defensive coordinator in the country, and I'm not even joking. The way he prepares, the way he watches film, the way he schemes. His intensity, his
I saw him at Ford Field. He's the biggest animal on your staff.
He is it. Yeah, he's a great and his brother does special teams and run game coordinating. But Tom Mack has Coach Tom Mack has influenced so many men, including me, and just would give you some general advice about anything, even if he didn't know about it, that would help change your perspective. And all of the sayings, what the mind can conceive, the body can achieve. Your gift to God is what you do with your talent. Even what we're using this week, respect all, fear none. All of those things carry through all of his players and the people who've been around him. And bigger than that, the way he's conducted himself for years. When he was winning, people had something to say. If he wasn't doing great, they had something to say. But his consistency, his faith, his dedication to his family and what he was doing, and the meticulous detail that he used to do it with. I used to, just before Huddle and all this computers, right? Like he would have everything written out every single day. Even if there was 3 words that were different, he was writing it out again in meticulous detail, and that would spill over to the coaches, that would spill over to the players, that would spill over to the practice. You couldn't model yourself after a better man. And I love him. I'd do anything for him. I know he knows that, but to have our core, a lot of alumni back in the staff period, but the varsity staff to be coaching with his sons and people Dave Lusky, who breathed and lived it and came up under the Mac era. Like, we don't have to do all the same things he did, but I'll tell you, our mentality, our smash mouth, what is important to us, our values, is all from Coach Mac, and it's never going to change, not as long as I'm here. Yeah.
Well, his at the De La Salle game, I had my 12-year-old grandson. It was so much fun, and he mentioned to me, he said, "Hey, Papa, 2 things." He said, "Wow, they said a prayer before the game." I go, "Yeah, isn't that cool?" And then right then the Star Spangled Banner, and then he was sitting to my left. The student section was over here, and he said, "Papa, can I sit over there near them?"
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
buddy.
what an energy, huh?
Get it.
Yeah.
That's special stuff.
Well, the best compliment I've gotten has been since I've been back at Catholic Central isn't, "Hey, great wins," or "You're undefeated," or this award, or all the stuff that, doesn't matter as much to me as I had a religion teacher come up and say, like, "My seniors told me that they prayed more this year in your program than ever." And I don't want to say we just don't pray. Like Hail Mary and Our Fathers are very important, and we say them every day. But we pray, we talk. Teaching these young men how to talk. I'm still trying to listen to God more, but how to talk to God, how to pray about things with intent and purpose. It's so important for their life, and as they go through adversity, and as they go through tough times, and as they have a family, and as they're the leader of men, and as they go in that next phase of their career, you have to instill this. You have to instill this foundation. There's too much out there in youth sports and sports across the board that's becoming like the Roman Empire, and everybody just be amazed at the gladiators beating each other up. We have to get back to, like, sports is the equations for success in life. There's something else that you're most likely going to do. How are we taking all these things we need to teach these young men and young women through sport to give them a great equation for success in life? And we have to get back to that. And if you're in coaching and you're not doing that, and that's not the reason, get out. You're a disease. You're toxic. Be in there for the right reasons. Be in there to impact people's life. Not everybody's going to be the athlete you want to be. You're not always going to get the results you want. But are you taking them on a journey that's going to be impactful for later in their life?
Well, and then push your anger and your ego out.
Yeah.
Get rid of your ego.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
No
a
doubt about
huge thing. So I was looking at a list last night about 1 in the morning.
You can get some sleep tonight.
Yeah.
We got Halloween, though, right? You're going to be running around with the grandkids.
It's going to rain. Yeah.
No, it's not. No.
Yes, it is.
Mother Nature said it's going to go away, yeah.
I believe you, Coach. You're the guy. You're the guy these players will run through a wall for, like Coach Mack and like Harrington from Farmington Harris. certain ones,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I was going through the list with Justin, really cool. At CC, John, and I don't know some of these guys,
Yeah.
but I'm going to read them. John
Yeah.
Spolsky, Mark Messer, Mike Martin,
Oof.
Nick Brzezinski,
Yeah.
Fred Taylor, Jeff Wiska, Aaron Roberts. So here's your
Got a list there.
Well, I did some
Yes, you
research.
did. That's what all. That was it right there. Those are some dudes. Yeah.
I'm not done.
Yeah.
This is the $1 million
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
for Coach Cessante.
Okay. Uh-oh.
What about Greg Marks and Paul Rudzinski, who I
Oh, yeah.
played ball with? Babe Ruth, he was the first
yeah.
baseman on our Sky Flores team.
Yeah.
Paul Rudzinski played for the Green Bay Packers, the Sparties.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering,
Studs.
was he around? Where? I
yeah.
tried to reach out to him. I can't find him.
Yeah, our alumni development, Dan Collins, Ed Turek, is our president, Tim Burke, John Doyle. These guys do a phenomenal. Angela Hill, Jackie. They do a phenomenal job of keeping in touch with our alumni base. There's a lot of pride in bridging that gap. So you see these guys around a lot. One of the things I want to do as a football coach is I put them up on the walls. Like, we didn't do a great job of recognizing our great past players and student athletes. And so these guys, all of them you mentioned, are on the walls somewhere, whether it's a college picture, whether they're named for being whatever they were in accolades or being in the NFL. We have actually their pictures up there, and it's really nice. And I don't know if you got a chance to see it last time you were in, but it's right by the weight room. But Mike,
I haven't been in.
Yeah,
I've been to the church.
Well, that's a shame. Yeah, we have mass tomorrow. You can come in if you want. If you have time.
I'd love to. What time?
I think we have mass at 9:30 tomorrow for All Saints, and then I have a meeting afterwards. But yeah, if you want to come over a little early, I could show you around a little bit. But love to do that for you. But just to talk about the guys you just talked about and show the bond that is special here at Catholic Central. I just got off the phone with Nick Brzezinski, who was my best friend, and it was 5-star tight end, with his brother.
Yeah.
Who played
Saw his
Doug,
name, too.
played in the NFL, played at Boston College, All-American.
Really?
He's down in Maryland. His son's a stud. So I got to actually call him back when I leave here. Mike Martin is a godfather of my daughter. I'm the godfather of his. Okay, and I coached him, and he's 10 years younger than me. Mark Messner, his son played here. John Spolsky, I played with his brother. He was an Army Ranger. He died in a car accident. He was Superman for me. He was Mr. Catholic Central. If anybody you said, was why you watched CC and said, that's what I want to do and be, was John Spolsky. He was a senior when I was a freshman. Casey Rogalski's not on there. Arguably, arguably the best
And
athlete.
Ryan was pretty good, too.
Yeah, Casey's arguably
It's baseball coaches.
Yeah, baseball coaches, obviously, guys. Our football, our football, our baseball, our wrestling, and our hockey coach are all from the same 4 years. We all went to school together.
Wow.
So that's pretty special, and all state champions and or national champions. But Casey, Mr. Baseball, 2-time heavyweight state championship wrestler.
Animal.
Undefeated. Didn't get taken down his senior year to the semis. All-state football, but and still close with all those guys. So you got a list there, though. That's a pretty special one. Yeah, that's a pretty special one.
It is.
Yeah.
Justin, we've had, I just always do this, it kind of motivates me a little bit. Guess we've had Mama Shoe build up Highland Park neighborhood. We've helped her. Yeah. She was on the day before Thanksgiving. She's taken tragedy into triumph. She had a boy hit by a hit-and-run driver, another shot in the head almost in front of her. She saw the guy who shot him.
Yeah.
And she's taken this neighborhood, talk about God's will, tragedy to triumph, Mama Shoe. And we've helped her, did some things for her, and still do, go to see her. She's just in a rough neighborhood, but she's got solar lights up. She's got the homework house. She's got the DIA behind them. Ellen DeGeneres gave her $100,000. Wow. She was up for Person of the Year last year. Wow. CNN, Anderson Cooper sent her to CNN out there. She was a top 10 Person of the Year for CNN.
Unbelievable.
She didn't win it.
Yeah.
But she could have.
No, she's winning just fine.
Oh, you would love her.
Yeah,
She's. I've been there 5, 6 out. My wife says we're not going by there anymore.
I still run a foundation for Legacy called the LEAD Foundation, Leadership, Education, Action, Development. We've helped a little girl, Emma Roberts, who, God bless her, is just a beautiful young woman, just graduated from Brighton with her medical bills when she's fighting cancer and just support, period. We've helped kids with funerals that have passed away that have been part of the legacy sports, scholarships, feeding families, cleats for kids. So if there's anything we ever can do for you and or Mama Shu, let me know, and our foundation will step up and do something for sure.
That's great. Yeah, she's just a special woman. It's hard to explain, someone who does that.
Yeah.
So someone who climbs up. She said, I had the worst thing that could happen is your kid dies. Oh yeah, I've had 3 and they're in their almost 40 or are 40, and you think she's had that happen. She says, Ron, I had that happen to me twice.
Oh my gosh.
I could have either climbed in a hole or done this.
Yeah.
She chose
that's really watering adversity. I mean, you talk about sports and school and all these things that are so minute to that.
Still talks about God, that was her thing.
Yeah.
And is. And otherwise you don't come through that.
No.
Darren McCarty and I had a really cool moment when he was on, and everybody loves Darren. He's all heart.
Yeah.
He does a lot for our veterans. He's just living his life totally by his heart, and he's a good guy. And I remember saying, "Hey, Darren, do you know the exact moment that changed, and it would have never happened for Michigan? Do you remember the moment in the Michigan year last year when the game that had happened? Do you remember, Justin?
For the University of Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the game was? Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, let me tell
you. My wife and I drove with my brother Danny out to Happy Valley, Penn State.
Yeah.
So what happened was
chips are down, right?
Chips are down. Yeah. Well, we heard in the morning like Harbaugh had already flown out there.
Right.
And this genius Big Ten commissioner from Harvard or Yale or wherever he came from, he came in and he suspended him for 3 games.
Yeah.
And I just had it in my mind that we watched the game, and it was McCarthy, JJ never threw in the second half, and they ran it. I think he was hurt. But that moment was, I think they had suspended Harbaugh 3 games, now 3 more. And I think what happened, we call it like the crescendo moment, that what happened was that team said, enough. You've taken our leader for 3 games. Now you're taking him for 3 more. They didn't look back.
Yeah.
They pounded everybody. Alabama.
Yeah, we're deeper than that.
There's more to in that team. Well, it was a special team, you got to admit.
No doubt.
So
throwback.
It was a throwback. And what happened with Darren McCarty was I had mentioned it, and then we talked for a half hour, and he looks at me and goes, oh, Ron, you want to know the crescendo moment for the Red Wings before we won 4 Stanley Cups? We had won the most points in the league, had the best points for a few years. But he said there was a moment after the fight with Claude Lemieux and some of the other things. They were bonding with Yzerman and all those great players. And he said their crescendo moment was then, after that fight, really. And what happened, he said, every player started to care more about the player next to him than about themselves. And then they won 4 Stanley Cups.
There it goes. You need those. Water that adversity, right?
Yeah.
That was the Avalanche fight, correct?
Yeah, Claude Lemieux.
Yeah.
I've heard the story.
I loved watching it, yeah.
I've seen 5 events. We worked a charity event with, that was how he came on the show. He had heard that I was helping the veterans and, working with the veterans, and out here at Crystal Gardens on Grand River in Brighton.
Yeah.
He heard about it, and he was attending, so we got to be friends, and we golfed together at Lakeland, in the cart together.
Yeah, Nick Antonucci is a friend of mine that works with him, and went to CC and then transferred. But yeah, they do a lot of good. He's a veteran. But yeah, I've speaking of crescendo moments, I mean, I've had a couple in my life. I think the biggest one, not team related, is when I came back from Grand Valley. We had gotten a fight at a frat and gotten a little bit of trouble. It was me and Cullen actually, and a couple other guys.
I know this story.
And so I come back, and I'm pretty embarrassed because my family's name got dragged through the newspaper a little bit, and obviously always want to make them proud. And I get back, and I'm watching a practice at Old Breakfast Drive, and I'm trying to stay not being seen because I didn't want to see my coaching staff because I was embarrassed I got in trouble, and and it was out there. And Coach Mack finds me out of nowhere, and he says, "How you doing?" So I'm good, Coach. He's like, "See, you're making the newspaper," and he laughs. He kind of had the silent laugh, and it was embarrassing, but also a relief that he wasn't mad at me or disappointed to a point he didn't want to talk to me. And he goes, next thing he says, I need a JV coach. I'll see you tomorrow, and walks away from me.
Oh, wow.
And I had no intention to call. I didn't know where I was going to live that following week. I was just moving home from college.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where are we going. And the definitely thing I did not want to think is put my time into coaching. I didn't even think about it. I'm not saying no to Coach Tom Mack. I'm doing what he tells me to do. And I did it, and it's changed my life. It brought me to Catholic Central back in a time I needed to be closer to God and find my way. But then it showed me and triggered how passionate I am about youth sports, about using this game, using this platform to impact lives. And, now I've been coaching for 18 years and involved in youth sports for 22. So, God bless that man. You'll never know. It was just one little gesture. And he'll always play it like he doesn't. I kind of remember. He knew exactly what he was doing in the moment, and that's what his genius is.
Yeah, him and Al Fracassa, and I think you're right there.
I have a great picture with Al Fracassa, John Harrington, Greg Carter, and Tom Mack, and I'm right in the middle. I'll show it to you afterwards. I helped Jeff Bio and Bally, it was Fox Sports at the time, get this round table of the best coaches in history of Michigan. Wow. And I got to sit with them for about 3 hours. Coolest football experience to this day. And
That's awesome.
And I've flown up with, I've sat next to on a plane to Nick Saban, and that is still one of the coolest moments. That was pretty cool too. But
yeah,
it wasn't too shabby. I'm not downgrading that, but it was really cool their stories and their respect for each other. We need to get back to that in high school football. Understand why we're here and having class and respect for each other and what people do. We're all really actually moving in the same direction if we look at it. The wins and the losses and what colors you wear really don't matter at the end of the day. Are we using this sport and platform for the right message and purpose?
Well, Jeff Wiska, when he was on, he said, we brought up Brother Rice and Fracassa and Tom Mack, and he said he called it a respected rivalry.
Yes.
And then we had Mel Farr, so a few weeks later, Junior, and I said, hey, Mel, Jeff Wiska calls it that, and he says, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have a great surprise for you that's going to go on later. I have phone messages from Jeff Wiska, Mel Farr Jr., and Mark Messer for you.
Oh, wow.
Jeff Wiska, congratulations to you and your team on an outstanding year. The game has changed so much from when I played. Kids are so much bigger, stronger, better coached, social media, so many more distractions. But there's a few things that keep us together and will bond us forever. God, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional toughness. You and I have the same mentor. The magic is in believing. If the mind can conceive it, the body can achieve it. Just want you to know that on behalf of thousands of men who have wore the blue and white over the years, we wish you and your team the absolute very best, and may God look over you and all the kids to make sure that everybody stays healthy and nobody gets hurt. Love you to death, man. Good luck.
Looking back on my days at Rice, you have a different view of it than you did when you're going through it, because you gain something called perspective. Obviously, I had a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Fracassa. Always have had a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Fracassa. But the older you get, you kind of understand why he was the way that he was, and why he, and how that shaped me as a player and as a person, that I later became. Because there's no question that I would have not become the player nor the person had I not had Coach Fracassa as my high school coach, who instilled in us a tremendous amount of discipline. So when I went to college, I was leaps and bounds ahead of other players because of the discipline that he instilled in us. With the agility drills in the spring, if you wanted to play football, you had to go to the agility drills. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. It was non-negotiable. That's just the way that it was. And then also going to an all-boys Catholic school, parochial school back then, we did have corporal punishment if you did get out of line. So, you had those guardrails, and kids need those. Kids want discipline, and that's what we received at Brother Rice, and that's what we received from Coach Fracassa. We received the discipline that we needed in order to succeed in life. And so, looking back on my days playing against CC, those were some memorable days, obviously. The only thing that I hate about my days playing against CC is I never got an opportunity to play at Windsor Stadium. That's something that I wanted to do because I had an opportunity to go out there and watch Paul Jokic and Davey Arima and all those guys play at Windsor Stadium. That was a big deal back then, to go play the Boys Bowl there, but I never had an opportunity to play there. I think we played at Eastern Michigan, and I think we might have played at the Silverdome, maybe. Kind of hard for me to remember at this stage in my life, but I know it wasn't at Windsor Stadium. But those are some fun days. Some tremendous competition. Brought the best out of both clubs. No matter what your record was, you were 0-0 that particular day, and you came away with a victory against CC.
Hey, Coach Justin, Mark Messner here. Just wanted to call and say thank you for what you're doing with the program. You don't teach these guys and these men the game. You've taught them to push them beyond their limits. You taught them to play above their athletic ability and play with football intelligence. That's not something measured with a clock, but with results. Clearly, you've also shown those guys the value of having each other's backs and the importance of team. Coach, all my personal achievements in football, being an All-American, CC Hall of Fame, U of M's Hall of Honor, College Football Hall of Fame, and the NFL, all stem from what Coach Mack instilled in me and started. This is also what you're carrying on with these young fellas. Keep up the good work, Coach. Live and die for CC High. Go Rocks. Really proud of you, Coach.
Yeah.
Worked hard for you, Coach.
I appreciate you so much. God bless you.
God bless you, too.
You always got Coach Cessante in your corner.
Thank you.
Anything I can do for you, I mean it. I'm all about relationships and reciprocation and much respect, and honor to be on here with you. And man, I could sit here for days and talk with you and share stories, and I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to do so. My invitation to Mass is open tomorrow, so
I'll be there.
I'll make sure I get you right time, but I'm pretty sure it's 9:30. I have a meeting immediately after that, but if you get over there a little early, we'll check out the school. So.
As long as I can sit near you.
Yeah. We'll sit up there. Yeah. I sit up in the stands, the bleachers. So if you need to sit in a chair, that's fine. But that's what I'll be
bleachers.
sitting.
I don't care anywhere near where you're at. You made my day for sure, and I can't wait for my kids and family to see our time. And hope you have fun at Thanksgiving or Halloween. With the
Halloween
kids.
tonight. Yeah. No rain.
No rain. Yeah.
It's not raining.
No.
Yeah.
Justin, we do this with everybody. You know how we end every show?
Tell me.
All right, we're going to end this like we always do. I hope Justin likes the Jess Pickles. These are the GD garlic dill.
Oh, yeah.
Made July 22nd at 24 from Eastern Market. Our special recipe.
Awesome. Can I try them right now?
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
We're both going to try one.
Very good. I was about to say, I hope that's what the forks are for. Let's see what. All right. Don't need a cut now. I just got a rolled ankle. Just well, that's how you know you're getting old. You roll your ankle walking down the stairs there. Oh, those are good.
You like them?
Oh, those are good.
Wiska said he was a Polak, so he
those
said
are-
that the Polish in him.
What, he needed sauerkraut or what?
That they were using. No, no, he said he liked
He
them.
needed a pierogi in there? Or what? Oh, man, that's good. My grandpa.
Those are yours.
My grandma, you want more?
Oh, thanks.
My grandma made the best guamkis you could ever imagine.
Okay, we got to rate them 1 to 10.
But these? Oh, 11.
11.
Oh, yeah, I love the saltiness in there. Not too much juice, but just enough. Oh, yeah, I could eat this whole thing right now. It might be gone by the time I get back my way. I got a present for you tomorrow when you come by.
Oh,
to
do
see
you?
me, man. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
thanks,
Yeah,
Justin.
no, pleasure. God bless you.